It's a late afternoon, and the sun casts long, stretching shadows across the park, bathing the trees in a warm, golden light. Marcus Carter, a 16-year-old black teen, sits quietly on a bench by the fountain, absent-mindedly scrolling through his phone. The park is serene, with only the occasional chirp of birds or the distant laughter of children breaking the silence. It's one of those rare, peaceful moments, the kind he has come to value deeply in a world that so often feels overwhelming and heavy. But today, this peaceful bubble is about to be burst. Out of the corner of his eye, Marcus notices a woman walking briskly in his direction. Her blonde hair is pulled back tightly, and her face is etched with concentration. She stops just a few feet away from him, glances at him for the briefest of seconds, then looks away. "I don't like the look of him," she mutters, so quietly that the words almost escape her lips. But Marcus hears them. His pulse quickens, a sense of dread creeping over him. He's been here before. He knows all too well the kind of scrutiny that comes with being in the wrong place at the wrong time, simply because of the color of his skin. She doesn't know him, doesn't know his story, but she looks at him like an accusation. And then, without hesitation, she pulls out her phone, dials 911, and speaks into it with an unsettling calmness. "Yes, I need the police. There's a black teenager sitting here in the park, acting suspicious. He's been here for over an hour, and I'm not sure what he's doing, but he's making me uncomfortable." Her voice remains steady, but Marcus can hear the undercurrent of fear, a fear that has no foundation other than the color of his skin. She's treating him as a threat simply because he's existing, sitting in the park, minding his own business. His throat tightens. He never asked for this. Never wanted this. All he wanted was a peaceful moment to himself, yet now the calm around him is about to be shattered. The sirens in the distance grow louder, drawing closer, and his stomach drops. He stands, still clutching his phone, the screen flashing with notifications. What's about to happen? The question hits him like a punch to the gut. He knows how these situations play out, how a simple call, a simple accusation can send everything spiraling out of control. He breathes in deeply, trying to steady himself. His chest tightens. He's done nothing wrong. He's been peaceful, not causing any trouble. Yet here he is, standing on the precipice of something that could spiral into something far uglier than he ever imagined. The sound of the squad car's tires screeching to a halt in front of him only adds to the tension. The officer steps out quickly, hand hovering near his holster, his gaze fixed on Marcus with a coldness that makes his skin crawl. The woman, her face full of judgment, stands off to the side, pointing directly at Marcus. "This is him," she says, her voice sharp, her finger trembling slightly as she gestures toward him. "I don't know what he's doing here, but he's acting suspicious." The officer looks between Marcus and the woman, his gaze narrowing, his suspicion palpable. "Got ID?" he asks, his tone flat, though Marcus can hear the underlying tension. Marcus swallows, doing his best to stay calm. He's been in situations like this before, but this feels different, more dangerous. He pulls his ID from his wallet and hands it over. The officer scans it, then looks back at Marcus. There's something cold in his eyes, a kind of judgment that lets Marcus know this isn't just a misunderstanding. This feels like a setup. "I'm going to need you to come with me," the officer says, reaching out for Marcus's arm. Marcus doesn't move. His heart is racing, and his hands are trembling, but he knows the drill. Don't resist. Don't give them a reason to escalate. But his mind is reeling. He's just a kid. He hasn't done anything wrong. Is this really happening? His thoughts struggle to catch up with the surreal reality of the situation. The officer's grip tightens, and Marcus can feel the weight of every eye in the park on him. People are watching, whispering, but no one is stepping in. The woman who made the call stands at a distance, her expression smug, as if she already knows how this is going to play out. But she doesn't know what's coming next. Just as the officer starts pulling Marcus toward the squad car, a voice rings out, breaking the tension. "Excuse me. Is there a problem here?" The officer freezes. The woman looks up, confused, and Marcus glances up too, his eyes widening when he sees who's approaching. It's Yvonne Carter, his mother, She walks with purpose, exuding a quiet but undeniable authority. She's dressed sharply, an FBI badge hanging from her waist, and her gaze is laser-focused on the officer. She locks eyes with him, her stare as sharp as any blade. The officer's grip on Marcus's arm loosens immediately.
Ah.
Mom. Marcus breathes out, disbelief flooding his chest. Yvonne turns her attention to the woman, her voice low and controlled, but carrying the weight of an unspoken command. Ma'am, she begins, her voice cutting through the tension. Did you just call the police on my son? The woman stammers, her eyes darting nervously between Yvonne and the officer. I thought. Yvonne interrupts, her tone now icy, every word laden with authority. You thought what? You thought that because he's black and sitting on a bench in broad daylight, he was automatically suspicious. The officer's face pales, and the woman goes visibly flustered. The power in the situation has shifted. It's no longer a random encounter. It's personal. Yvonne steps closer, her eyes never leaving the woman's face. Next time you feel the urge to call the cops on someone based on nothing but the color of their skin, remember this moment. Because you've just made a mistake you won't forget. The woman's face flushes crimson, and she opens her mouth to speak, but no words come out. There's nothing she can say to justify what she's done. Marcus stands frozen, a wave of relief washing over him. But then reality hits him. What if this hadn't been his mom? What if there had been no one there to stand up for him? What if another kid had been in his place, without the protection and support he had? A pang of guilt hits him, a gnawing frustration that the world often expects him to prove his worthiness simply because of his skin color. Yvonne's phone buzzes in her pocket, pulling her attention. She takes it out, glances at the screen for a moment, and her expression hardens. We're done here, she states firmly, turning toward the officer. Take her report and leave.
Now?
With one last lingering glance at the woman, the officer nods, retreating to his squad car. The woman, red-faced and defeated, stands in stunned silence, unable to say anything. Marcus stands there for a moment, his heart still racing, but with a deep sense of gratitude washing over him. Yvonne wraps her arm around his shoulders, pulling him close. You okay? She asks softly, her voice no longer harsh, but filled with concern and warmth. Marcus nods, finally letting out a breath. Yeah, thanks, Mom. As they walk back to the car, Marcus feels the weight of the moment. It wasn't just a moment of protection, it was a revelation. His mother wasn't just his protector, she was a force for change. A reminder that no one should ever have to fight alone. Next time, we stay away from that park, okay? Yvonne says with a smile, as they climb into the car. Marcus chuckles softly.
Deal.
But as they drive away, Marcus can't help but wonder. What if things had been different? What if his mother hadn't been there? What if no one had recognized her? What if this innocent moment had spiraled into something far worse? How many more times will people like Marcus face these kinds of injustices? How many more times will fear and prejudice dictate how people are treated, simply because of the color of their skin? It could have been anyone. It could have been you. What would you have done if you were in Marcus's shoes? Or in his mother's? We want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and share how this story made you feel. Do you believe we can change the narrative? If this story struck a chord with you, hit subscribe so you don't miss the powerful stories that need to be told. Because change starts with awareness, and together, we can amplify these important conversations. Let's keep this discussion going.